Hey there, folks. Let's talk about some of the challenges that come along with legitimacy. The first thing we're going to talk about is a way of really measuring this in terms of states, and that is with the Fragile State Index. Now, the Fragile State Index is simply a way of looking at which states are likely to be stable and which ones are kind of in danger of potentially crumbling. Legitimacy is one of the major factors that we do look at when we're talking about the Fragile State Index. As you can see, what it's simply talking about here is the confidence that individuals within the state have in the political process. So do they buy in with what's going on in the government? Is there a level of citizen and opposition that's sustained? Is the government cracking down on that opposition, or is that opposition really kind of getting a foothold, so to speak? The transparency level of the government plays a large role in determining whether or not a state is fragile. As we talked about within the ladder of citizen involvement, we have a similar kind of thing here. When you know why something is happening, you tend to buy in a lot more. You're more willing to participate in that. So governments that tend to be more transparent tend to be a little bit more stable. And you can kind of see why that would make sense. And the political violence, is there a lot of violence going in the state, particularly around issues of politics? So again, this kind of comes in line with political opposition. You can really see how all of these would, in fact, kind of interact with one another. But these are factors as well. An open and fair political process. So is it, can anyone be involved in the system or not? And is it fair? Now, you could have no open and fair processes, but a lot of the other things present, which couldn't allow your state to become very strong. Again, legitimacy is just one factor to talk about in this section. Now, other challenges to legitimacy. It's important to understand that this happens when the government is not in control of the domestic and or external affairs of a state. So if a government is not controlling what's going on within their borders, they're going to have their legitimacy challenged. If a government is not controlling and playing a good and impactful role in what's going on externally involving them, or what is perceived as good, that's going to challenge their legitimacy. Sometimes this can come from external sources putting a lot of pressure on them. Sometimes it can simply be a matter of these states not really knowing what they're doing and not executing their problems well. These can be violent and nonviolent. One of the good examples of this would be the 2020-2021 Belarusian protest against Lukashenko, who is the longstanding leader of that country. He was in power, had his political opponent up for the election jailed. His opponent's wife then decided to run for the seat from exile. Of course, they lost because it was not a free or fair election. And it looked like Lukashenko would not have been remaining in power if it were not for the Russians coming in and supporting his power and giving him that legitimacy. This is just one example of that being present. Now, we can continue going on. Some different examples of challenge to legitimacy. These ones are adapted from Colored Revolution, a political phenomenon by Lane in 2009. The four we're going to talk about, you can see on the screen. I'm going to give them some more explanations as we go through. First one to talk about is a putsch. This is a counter-elite-led way of getting rid of the government. There is very little public participation here. It tends to be those who are challenging the elite. They are the ones who are going to be involved with this. Probably the most famous one from history would be the beer hall putsch, or however you can say that in German. Sorry, don't speak German. From Hitler in, I believe, 1923, an attempt to take over Germany. Of course, that one failed, but ultimately he used his trial to kind of catapult himself into the position of chancellor. And then we all know what happened from there. So this is little public participation, counter-elite led. The idea behind one of these is to simply replace the elite. So we don't like the people who are in power right now. We want them gone. This is what we're going to do. As a result of this, if it's successful, a new elite is going to be established. So if you are the ones who are trying to replace the elite and you're successful, you will now become the, quote, elite of your state. Another one we can talk about is a coup d'etat. This is a French word, as you can understand, elite or counter-led. So this can be either counter-led or this can be elite. It's important to understand right through there. A putsch is always going to be counter-led. A coup is not necessarily. Once again, little public participation in a coup d'etat. The goal here is simply to renew the governing elite. So whoever the leader of the country is, you feel that they are not doing an effective job. They have lost their legitimacy. Therefore, you're going to come in, replace them, and bring back the rightful people into power. So we have a number of examples of this throughout history as well. Turkey in, I believe, 2016 or 2017 had a coup d'etat attempt. West Africa recently has had a number of coups. This is when you come in, you take over the country. Myanmar recently had a coup d'etat, which resulted in a government being toppled and a new government coming in. New personnel are put in ruling positions if the coup is successful. If it's not successful, no new people are going to come in to power because it wasn't successful. You can have a revolutionary coup d'etat, which is similar to a regular coup d'etat, except for there's going to be high levels of public participation. The elites get to become a renewal of the governing elites. So in this instance, it's just like a regular coup. The difference is the mass participation of individuals in society, which is going to lead to, again, change of leadership and governing priorities because you've got a lot more political buy-in. New personnel do become rulers if this is successful, just like a regular coup d'etat. Last one to talk about is a political, a political or social revolution. This is counter-elite led, and there are incredibly high levels of public participation. The idea here is to the fundamental replacement of the political class. So you have the socio-economic system that's completely changing. So think, for example, the Russian Revolution in 1917, which got rid of the Kingdom of Russia and replaced it with the Soviet Union, right? New political class, complete reconstruction of institutions, new property relations are successful. You can see this is kind of set up largely within a communist-style revolution. We've had a number of those throughout history as well. Comments, questions, do let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you later. Good luck.